on camera. And here's the part that'll mess you up. This billionaire has been living as a homeless man, on and off, for 7 years. Testing people. Watching who stops. Who looks away. Who pretends not to see him. He told me he's met over 3,000 people this way. Only 11 ever helped. Sarah was number 11. And what happened next didn't just change her life. It exposed something about all of us that's honestly hard to watch. But stick with me. Because by the end of this story, you're gonna look at that homeless person you walked past this morning very, very differently. November 14th, 2019. Sarah Mitchell's car wouldn't start. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a big deal. Cars break down. You call AAA, you get it fixed, life goes on. But when you've got $63 to your name, and you've already skipped 2 meals to make that money last, and you're living out of that car because you lost your apartment 2 weeks ago, a dead battery isn't an inconvenience. It's a catastrophe. 3 months earlier, Sarah had what most people would call a normal life. She was 31, working as a project coordinator for a construction company in Portland, Oregon. Nothing fancy, but stable. Enough to cover rent, groceries, her student loans. Then her mom got sick. Stage 3 breast cancer. Sarah's mom didn't have insurance. The kind of gap in coverage that happens when you're self-employed and premiums cost more than rent. So Sarah started helping. A little here, a little there, then the medical bills got serious. Chemotherapy. Radiation. Medications that cost $600 a pop. Sarah drained her savings in 5 weeks. Then she started putting it on credit cards. Then the credit cards maxed out. Her manager noticed she was distracted. Started showing up late because she was at the hospital. Had to leave early for her mom's appointments. They let her go in September. Performance issues. They called it. Sarah applied for unemployment. Got denied because technically she'd been fired for cause. She burned through her last paycheck in 10 days. Rent came due. She didn't have it. Her landlord gave her a week. Then the eviction notice came. So there she was, living in her 2004 Honda Civic, using gym memberships to shower, charging her phone at McDonald's, eating dollar menu items once a day to make the money last. And on November 14th, the car died in a Starbucks parking lot. Sarah sat there in the driver's seat, key in the ignition, listening to it click 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 uselessly. She tried 3 more times. Nothing. And then she just broke. She told me later that she sat there for 20 minutes, sobbing so hard she thought she might throw up. Not the pretty kind of crying. The kind where snot runs down your face and you can't catch your breath. Because it wasn't just the car. It was everything. The job. The money. Her mom, who was getting worse despite all the treatments. The crushing, suffocating weight of trying so hard and still losing. She looked at her phone. $63.18 in her account. A tow truck would cost at least $100. It started to rain. Sarah looked up through the windshield at the gray Seattle sky and thought, very clearly, I don't know how to do this anymore. That's when she saw him. There was an old man standing by the coffee shop entrance, completely soaked. He wasn't panhandling. Wasn't holding a sign. Just standing there, water dripping off his clothes, looking at the door like he was trying to decide whether he was allowed to go inside. Sarah watched him for a full minute. He had to be 70, maybe older. White hair plastered to his head. A jacket that might have been nice once but was worn through at the elbows. Jeans with mud on the knees. Boots with the soles separating. He looked lost. That's the only word Sarah could think of. Like he'd somehow ended up somewhere he didn't recognize and didn't know how to get home. And here's what Sarah told me, and this part's important. I saw myself in him. Not like metaphorically. I mean, I literally looked at this old man standing in the rain, and I thought, that's going to be me in 40 years. That's where this road ends if I can't figure something out. She said it terrified her. But it also made her feel less alone. Sarah grabbed her umbrella from the back seat. It was one of those cheap collapsible ones that flip inside out if the wind hits it wrong. But it was something. She got out of the car and walked over to him. "Excuse me," she said. "Are you trying to get out of the rain?" The man looked at her, startled, like he wasn't used to being spoken to. "The coffee shop," Sarah continued. "Would you like to go inside? I could buy you something warm. If you want." The man studied her face, really looked at her, and Sarah said later that his eyes were the saddest thing she'd ever seen. "You don't have to do that," he said quietly. "I know," Sarah said. "But it's freezing, and you're soaked, and honestly, I could use the company." The man hesitated. Then, slowly, he nodded. "All right. Thank you. That's very kind of you." They went inside. Sarah ordered 2 coffees and a sandwich. The barista rang it up, $14.67. Sarah's hands shook slightly as she handed over her debit card. She was now down to $48. $48 to her name in the entire world. They sat down at a corner table. The man wrapped both hands around his coffee cup and closed his eyes, like he was trying to absorb every bit of warmth. "I'm Sarah," she said. "Robert," he replied. "Most people call me Bob." "Nice to meet you, Bob." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Bob opened his eyes and looked at her. "You've been crying," he said gently. Sarah let out a shaky laugh. "Yeah. Bad day. Want to talk about it?" And maybe it was because he was a stranger. Maybe it was because Sarah had been holding everything in for so long that she felt like she might explode. But she told him everything. The sick mom. The medical bills. Losing her job. The eviction. Living in her car. The car dying an hour ago. The overwhelming, crushing sense that she tried as hard as a human being could try, and it still wasn't enough. Bob listened without interrupting. He didn't offer solutions or try to fix anything. He just listened, nodding occasionally, his expression full of compassion. When Sarah finished, Bob was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "My wife died 6 years ago. Cancer, like your mother. We had the best insurance money could buy, and she still suffered terribly at the end." Sarah's throat tightened. "I'm so sorry. The worst part," Bob continued, "wasn't watching her die. It was feeling powerless. Having all the resources in the world and still not being able to save her. I think I understand a little of what you're feeling." He took a sip of coffee. "You know what she told me, 2 days before she passed? She said, 'Bob, suffering either breaks you or breaks you open. Make sure it breaks you open.' I didn't understand what she meant at the time. But I think she was saying, pain can make you bitter, or it can make you kinder. You get to choose." Sarah wiped her eyes. "I don't feel very kind right now. Mostly just tired." Bob smiled. "And yet here you are, buying coffee for a stranger when you can barely afford to feed yourself. I'd say you're doing all right." They talked for another hour. Bob asked thoughtful questions about Sarah's background, her skills, what kind of work she was looking for. He had this way of making her feel heard, like her answers actually mattered. When it was time to go, Bob stood and extended his hand. "Thank you, Sarah. Not just for the coffee. For reminding me that good people still exist. Take care of yourself," Sarah said. Bob smiled, and there was something knowing in it. Something Sarah didn't understand. "You too," he said. "Something tells me things are about to get better for you." Sarah got her car jumped by a kind stranger in the parking lot 30 minutes later. Small miracle. She drove back to the gym where she'd been parking at night, climbed into the back seat, and tried to sleep. She didn't think about Bob again. She had bigger problems. 2 days later, her phone rang. Unknown number. Sarah almost didn't answer. Could have been a debt collector. Could have been another rejection from a job application. But she answered. "Is this Sarah Mitchell?" "Yes?" "Ms. Mitchell, my name is Jennifer Chin. I'm calling on behalf of Robert Harrison. He'd like to meet with you regarding a potential opportunity. Would you be available tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Sarah's mind went blank. "I'm sorry, who?" Robert Harrison. You met him 2 days ago? He asked me to reach out. Bob? Sarah said. The man from the coffee shop? Yes. Mr. Harrison would like to meet with you at our offices downtown. I'll text you the address. Sarah sat up in her car. Wait, what kind of opportunity? Is this a job? Mr. Harrison will explain everything when you meet. Is tomorrow at 2 p.m. acceptable? Yes. Yes, I'll be there. The second she hung up, Sarah Googled Robert Harrison, Seattle. The results made her stomach drop. Robert Thomas Harrison, founder and former CEO of Harrison Technologies, sold the company in 2008 for $1.8 billion. Current estimated net worth, $2.9 billion. There were hundreds of articles. Forbes features photos of him shaking hands with Bill Gates, meeting with senators, cutting ribbons at hospital wings that bore his name. Sarah scrolled through image after image. And there, in a photo from a charity gala in 2013, she saw his same face. Same eyes. Wearing a tuxedo that probably cost more than her car. That was Bob. The man she'd bought coffee for. A billionaire. Sarah told me she sat in her car for 2 hours, just staring at her phone, trying to process what was happening. Was this real? Was this some kind of joke? Why would a billionaire be standing in the rain outside a coffee shop? She didn't sleep that night. The next day, Sarah showed up 15 minutes early to the address Jennifer had texted. It was a sleek glass building in downtown Seattle, the kind with a lobby that echoes and makes you feel small. She was escorted to the 22nd floor. Corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Elliott Bay. And there was Bob, looking nothing like the man from the coffee shop. Crisp white shirt. Slacks. Polished shoes. Every bit the billionaire, Sarah. He said warmly, crossing the room to shake her hand. I'm glad you came. Mr. Harrison, Bob. He corrected. Please. Sarah sat down, her head spinning. I don't understand what's happening. Bob sat across from her and folded his hands. I'm going to be honest with you, Sarah. What happened 2 days ago wasn't an accident. Sarah's heart started pounding. What do you mean? I do this regularly, Bob said. A few times a month, I dress down, and I go out into the city. I sit on benches. I stand in the rain. I ride public transit. And I observe how people treat someone they think is homeless. Someone they think can't do anything for them. He leaned back in his chair. I've been doing this for 7 years, Sarah. Since my wife died. Do you know how many people have stopped to help me in that time? Sarah shook her head. 11. Out of thousands of people who've walked past me. 11. You were number 11. Sarah didn't know what to say. Bob continued. I started this after Margaret passed because I felt disconnected from reality. I'd spent 40 years in boardrooms and country clubs, surrounded by people who wanted something from me. Money. Connections. Access. I realized I had no idea who people really were anymore. Who I really was. He stood and walked to the window. Margaret used to volunteer at homeless shelters. She'd come home and tell me stories about the people she met. Their dignity. Their resilience. She'd say, Bob, these are people who've lost everything, and some of them are still kinder than the millionaires at your fundraisers. After she died, I wanted to understand what she meant. So I started, testing people, I suppose. Seeing who would help someone who couldn't help them back. He turned to face Sarah. Most people don't. And I don't judge them for it. Everyone's busy. Everyone has problems. I understand that. But then there's people like you. People who are barely surviving themselves and still stop to help. That's not just kindness, Sarah. That's character. That's the kind of person I want in my life. Bob returned to his desk and pulled out a folder. I run a foundation now. After I sold Harrison Technologies, I wanted to focus on giving back. We fund emergency assistance programs, job training, housing initiatives. We help people who've fallen through the cracks. He slid the folder across the desk. I'm looking for a new director of outreach. Someone who understands what it's like to need help. Someone with empathy, integrity, and the ability to see people the way Margaret taught me to see them. Sarah opened the folder. Inside was a job description and a salary that made her vision blur. $125,000 a year. I don't have experience with nonprofits, Sarah said, her voice shaking. I don't have the qualifications for. You have the only qualification that matters. Bob interrupted. You have a good heart. Everything else can be learned. He leaned forward. Here's what I know about you, Sarah. You're at the lowest point of your life. You're scared, exhausted, and out of options. And when you saw someone you thought might be suffering too, you didn't think about yourself. You thought about them. That's rare. That's precious. That's exactly who I need leading this work. So what do you say? Sarah told me that she started crying right there in his office. Big, ugly, grateful tears that she couldn't hold back. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll do it. Bob smiled. Good. We start Monday. Then he pulled out his checkbook. And this, he said, writing quickly, is for your immediate expenses. Get your car fixed. Get a place to live. Pay your mother's medical bills. Consider it a signing bonus. He tore out the check and handed it to her. $250,000. Sarah stared at it. I can't, this is too much. It's not nearly enough, Bob said quietly. But it's a start. I met Sarah last year at a Harrison Foundation event. She's now the executive director. Under her leadership, they've helped over 22,000 people. Her mom beat cancer. Lives in a nice apartment that Sarah pays for. And Sarah still carries that umbrella in her car. The cheap one that flips inside out. When I asked her why, she said, because I never want to forget what it felt like to have nothing. And I never want to stop seeing people the way Bob taught me to see them. Bob is 78 now. Still healthy. Still doing his walks. He's found 6 more program directors the same way he found Sarah. And he told me something I can't stop thinking about. People ask me why I don't just hire headhunters. Why I don't post job listings and review resumes like a normal person. And I tell them, resumes show me what people have accomplished. But sitting in the rain shows me who they are. And character, true character, is worth more than any credential. So here's my question for you. Who would you be if nobody knew your name? If you had nothing to offer and nothing to gain? Would you be the person who walks past? Or the person who stops? Because that billionaire you just heard about, he's watching. Maybe not him specifically, but someone is. Someone's always watching who we are when we think it doesn't matter. And it turns out, that's when it matters most. If this story changed how you see the world, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you see someone who needs help, stop. Thanks for watching.